Hi. So it is the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, and I had multiple videos scripted. Well, I had multiple videos that I halfway scripted and realized I ran out of time. I worked a lot this weekend. I work a lot this week. So we are going to try and get a quick off the dome, non scripted video out just so I have something and I have some content out in the world this week. No, did not get a new full-time job. I'm still just bartending. Again, very thankful for that job. We're in our busy season right now, so things are going great. But I wanted to just film a quick video about why I love travel and how I started traveling and what travel looks like for me lately and what I hope it looks like for me in the future. Hopefully I keep this short. We'll find out. I have a tendency to talk and then I start editing and I'm like, just shut up. You're so annoying. I'm not annoying. I love myself. I love myself dearly and I understand I talk a lot and that's okay. I will say there was a time when people would be like, you talk really fast. And I would be like, no, I don't. And then I edit these videos and I'm like, oh my God, I talk really fast. I'm working on it, guys. I'm aware of my flaws. In the words of Julie Andrews, let's start at the very beginning. It's a very good place to start. I was kind of born into traveling. I was very lucky that my mom worked for an airline when I was little. When we still lived in the Milwaukee area before we moved up north, my mom worked for a local airline called Midwest Express. I was traveling about 6 weeks old is when I went to Pennsylvania and I flew for the first time. It was for a family wedding, so there was a reason for me to go. My parents weren't just like throwing me on a plane at 6 weeks old or anything. But traveling's always just been a part of my life. I loved airports. I loved flying. I loved going places. There was always a trip on the horizon when I was a kid, which was really cool. I was very lucky in my early years that travel was just like a part of our lives. And I understand that that's not the truth for everyone. Very lucky that it was my truth. If all of that got messed up because I just realized I was off kilter, it's going to drive me crazy. We'll deal with that later. But yeah, so I was traveling pretty early on. Both my parents like to travel. They really instilled that in us. It was very cool to get to go to a whole bunch of different places. I was in Mexico when I was little. They took us on cruises, a lot of trips to Disney. A lot of my early years were flying to Disney. But they also took us to California and Vegas and a whole bunch of other places, which I think really instilled that travel was important when we were little. And then my dad died. If you don't know this about me, in 2005, my dad died of stage 4 lung cancer, which has now been 20 years since that has happened, and it has affected my life in many ways that I wouldn't have expected back then, for better or for worse. If my dad was still alive, we probably would have kept traveling very lavishly. I always say that I would have been really spoiled if my dad didn't die. Oh, it's so hard to say this. I'm grateful for the lessons I learned since his death, because if it wasn't for having to learn how to be scrappy and not have the world handed to me, I would not know how to travel the way I currently do. I would not have a lot of the life lessons I think I currently do. But my trauma is not what this video is about. This video is about my travel history. After my dad passed, my mom continued to take me and my brother on a ton of trips, as much as she could, as much as we could afford. Of course, and there's the recession. As we got into high school, things just also got more expensive. There's cars you have to think of, and we both did really expensive sports. Me and my brother were both snowboarders, so that's not a cheap sport to do. And if it meant we were going snowboarding every weekend, or we were going on another trip to Disney or something, most of the time we chose snowboarding in those years. But I would say travel kind of started to taper off when I was a teenager. We weren't going to like a ton of new places. We were busy doing a whole bunch of other things. My mom was working a different job and no longer running our family business at that time. So we didn't really travel as much in my late teen years. I would honestly say my itch to travel started coming back in college. I went to school for journalism and creative writing. And in my journalism program, we did these immersive journalism trips where we would go and we'd fly into different areas and be journalists on the ground, hands-on experience as one of our class projects. So I went down to Port Arthur, Texas for my first trip to cover the aftermath of Hurricane Harvey. And that was a really eye-opening trip about how natural disasters affect communities and how you see on the news how these communities are affected in the immediate aftermath, but lives continue once the camera crews leave. We went about a few months, maybe 3-4 months after the hurricane, and there was still so much that needed to be done in this community. And the camera crews were gone, the attention had moved away. So it was really interesting to get to be a part of that and experience that hands-on. And then the trip that really, honestly, was very monumental for me, both as a professional and as a person, was my senior year. I went to Chico, California. We went up to Paradise, which is just north of Chico, where the Camp Fire had happened, I think 6 months prior. And that trip really challenged me as both a journalist, as a human, as a person who likes to travel. I really will credit that trip, I think, looking back now, as a trip that really made me see traveling in a different way. It made me see that as a traveler, I am going into people's homes and I'm experiencing a bit of their life for a very short amount of time. And then I'm going back to my life. I met really cool people on that trip. I was able to learn so much about the culture in the area. I did my pieces on how art was really influential after the fire and how that changed people's ideas of healing. I was very thankful for that entire trip. But it really made me question journalism practices as a whole, despite the fact that I would end up going into journalism for a couple of years. This is also around the time I'm really into Anthony Bourdain. I think every young traveler and journalist will go through a phase where Anthony Bourdain is like the epitome of like everything. But he also is a big reason I am the way I am today. I stopped looking at travel as an experience that I needed to check off, that I had to go to this country and this country and this country. And instead, I looked at every place as I need to immerse myself in the place I go. In the first few years after college, I was very lucky to have friends who wanted to travel in similar ways as me. Honestly, I was just happy to have friends who wanted to travel in general. It's expensive to travel when you are first graduating college. And a few of my friends were still in college at the time. I think looking back, I would say I was not thriving during 2019 to 2021. I don't think a lot of us would say that, but I did get to do a lot of really cool things during that time. And I'm very thankful for the people I had in my life in that phase. I do not speak to them anymore. We are not, close, but I'm grateful for the memories I have years later, looking back on it all. We did some cool shit, and I'm very thankful for that. But during that time, I went to LA for 24 hours. I went to Boston. I went to Cleveland on a random one-day road trip. I went to Nashville with friends. But those first few years out of college really cemented that travel was going to be important to me. And it still is. I'm very lucky to have a partner who loves to travel too. We have gone on some really cool trips. A lot of them road trips. He prefers to be in the car versus a plane, which is fine. We're getting there. We have been to Colorado. We've been to the Badlands. We've been to Wyoming, Nashville. We didn't stop in Louisville. No. We, of course, spend a lot of time in Phoenix. That is our second home right now, where we spend half of our year. So we do a lot of local travel there. We've been to Vegas. Oh, we went to Moab and we went to Arches. That was awesome. We've been to a lot of different cool places in just the past few years, and we try to always do it on a budget. I will say, being out west makes it really easy to get places that are really cool. It's funny that in these past 4-ish years, little over 4 years, we have been to so many really cool places, and I'm really thankful that he has pushed me to travel in ways I didn't grow up traveling. When I was younger, we would hop on a plane to go anywhere. My mom was not a road trip person, still really isn't. So we didn't really do that when I was a kid. Now that's what we do. Me and my boyfriend hop in cars and we travel places. I still like to go and fly when I can and when it makes sense and feasible, but I have seen so much of the US from a car now, and I'm really thankful for that. I'm really thankful we get to do that. I'm thankful for our trips. I love our road trips that we get to do. I've now done solo road trips, which is really fun, and at first was really scary, and now I don't find them scary at all. I've been to a lot of cities by myself still. Solo travel is still a part of me and what I like to do. I'm not afraid to kind of just go places if I want to. I do now feel guilty leaving my boyfriend behind because I know he wants to go, but our work schedules always don't work out, but we're working on it. There is still a whole bunch I want to see that I haven't seen yet, but I will see, hopefully. I'm not as concerned as I used to be about doing all my bucket list destinations. Right now, I'm concerned about seeing what's here and what I can see. That's what a lot of this channel is about for me. It's about going deep in the places I'm going. Being okay to travel even if it's just, 20 miles down the road. It's about seeing things that are different from what I normally get to see, talking to people I don't always talk to, eating food I don't always get to eat. I think a lot of times, especially in this digital age, we think that travel just needs to be another picture on your Instagram grid. For me, travel is about how it nourishes my soul. I do think a big trip to Europe or a different part of the country or the world would be life-changing. I do think I would learn a lot. I'd learn a lot about who I am, about other people, about other cultures. I totally agree with that. However, I think there's a lot to learn here still, and I'm not discounting what I've done here. In the future, I hope I can keep traveling, to keep meeting new people, to keep doing the things that scare me, to learn. I hope I get to experience and nourish my soul time and time again. I hope one day when I have kids, they're not afraid to travel either. That they understand how important it is to get out of your house, to talk to people, to meet people, to try the foods you've never tried. I hope this channel also encourages you to do that too. I keep saying that over and over in my videos, but it's true. That's really what it is. I just want to share my story in hopes that maybe it would resonate with some of you. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. I'm thankful you're here though. I'm thankful I get to share my stories to my small but growing crowd. I hope this video ends up being short. We'll find out when I edit it. It probably isn't. I had to stop the video once and I saw I was already at 15 minutes, but I'll cut that down. I'm good at that. I'm getting better. I hope you all have a happy holidays. I promise we will get some more videos out. I really underestimated how much time it would take me to do everything and live my whole life and work, especially my busy season of work. But I'm working on it. We're getting there. I just keep showing up for myself, trying, making some videos and putting myself out there. That's all I can hope for. Okay. Hope you have a good one. Thank you again for watching. Let me know in the comments your travel story, your history, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. Do you guys like my new mug? I love my new mug. Got it for $7 yesterday. I'm very proud of it.